key things to understand while we're doing this is that stretching in yoga is different from stretching in martial arts. That is key, right? So the shapes that you'll see in martial arts stretching and Gong stretching are often the same because they're based around the most efficient way to stretch your body. Forward bends, hips out, back bends and what have you, they're the same basically. But what is going on inside the body is often very, very different, right? We're trying to develop, either for martial arts, the ability to issue jin, okay, which is essentially a force that comes from the inside of the body, which never make the mistake of thinking it's relaxed. Jin is not relaxed, jin is just muscularly relaxed, right? But there's something else that's tense. And if we're stretching for Gong, essentially it's exactly the same, but the aim is different because we're after the ability of turning the soft tissues of the body, in particular the fascia, into the drum skin that the vibration passes along. So what we never want is either flaccid, because we have flaccid within the body, like overly, like these contortionist type stretching, you can't issue jin. So if you are inflexible, you can't issue jin, but if you are overly flexible, you can't issue jin. All right, there's a peak. If you go too far, you make yourself weak. If you're too solid, you make yourself unable to transfer force through the body. For Gong, exactly the same. Too flaccid, energy just disperses through the body. Too stiff, it gets stuck in the body. So that we need to develop a balance between the two. Right? Since we were doing martial arts, the jin, essentially, if you want a definition of how the body is built for jin, is everything muscular is relaxed. You don't need notes, don't worry, because it's on video. Okay, so we're looking around for notebooks. The muscles need to relax, okay? The term is hanging them from the bones, so everything goes off, okay? But then the fascia, the ligaments, tendons and soft tissues are pulled taut and kept taut all the way through the movements that you're doing. So what you have is tightness underneath softness. Now tension within the muscles is contractive, yeah, it squeezes. Like my neck injury I've got a minute ago, he's gone up in the corner, okay? So over time that will relax and it will open up, so then there's a contraction. So we want the contraction of the muscles to go, right? Because they need to lengthen out. Tension in the fascia, essentially the Jing lines of Chinese thought, is through extension, okay? So it is lengthened, so it is conductive. That's what we require, okay? Muscles relax, so contraction is not there. Fascia lines lengthen so they can either conduct the vibration force of Gong, or your breath, or your mind, or conduct another person's mechanical force and their mass through your body, and then a power back up through the ground into the other person, for Fajin. Yeah? The term for that is steel wrapped in cotton, as in steel, taut, solid. So everything should feel stretched underneath the body. Cotton, as in everything on top should be squishy and soft upon contact. So when you're stretching, for what we want is we need to keep that ideal in mind, because a flaccid drop into a position and just a relaxation into a position is actually building the body in the wrong way. We don't want this, okay? So if I were to drop into something and be comfortable and just sit there, and you see flexible people sort of sat there like this thinking we're going to stretch and do anything, at that time you're actually building your body the wrong way for this. If you're building your body through stretching just to sit effectively in meditation, it's okay actually, because you're just trying to make yourself comfortable. So the more you can open up joints, the better. But if you want jin and transference of energy through the body, actually everything wants to be held in a position of slight tension. So for me, that's relaxed. So I can sit here all day. It's essentially just like squatting or something you see people in Asia doing. But it's not doing anything for my body. So if I spent long periods of time in this position, it's bad for me. Yeah? But if I open everything inside, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, and create that steel wrapped in cotton, now it's actually stretching me. I can feel what is happening as I'm relaxing into this line that's the steel under the cotton, and it's opening up. So now it feels actually like it's quite hard work because it's starting to pull inside my body. Now when you get the feel for that, essentially that's obviously not a stretch for me, but if I engage that, now that is a stretch for me. So now my body is pulling, so that is more useful than just hanging my body down to the floor. Do you understand? Yeah, it's the balance between the two you're trying to get. So to do it, you need to get your mind to travel into the length of your body. That's the key thing, right? So if you are absent-mindedly stretching, that's not very helpful. But if your mind is into the body all the way through, then what happens is your mind cannot conduct through your muscles for some reason that I don't understand. but your mind can conduct through your soft tissues, especially as there's no breaks in it. So the more connective work you're doing and forms and things, the more your mind gets into the body. So if I were to say, do a stretch like this, and just fold into a mabu, now flaccidly dropping into it isn't helpful. But getting my mind, relaxing the muscles, getting my mind into the tissues, and then opening each of those joints as I go down, already now it's stretching. Yeah, because what I've done is I've transferred my mind through the body and started to engage that elasticated stretch across. Now when I go into this stretch, there's a point where this is pulling the elastic, this is pulling the elastic. That is the peak of the elastic stretch inside my body. That is the most efficient place for it to conduct. So if I go beyond that a little bit, it's now less conductive, but it's lengthening. Yeah? So you always go not conducting, not lengthening. Okay? Optimum conductivity. Essentially that's why Mabu is based around this position. And then opening beyond optimum, but now lengthening. Okay? So now it's stretching, now it's stretching, now it's stretching, meaning that my optimum will increase a little bit. If I go too far beyond that, now not stretching. I've gone too far again, it's like riding a bell curve and then coming down the other side. Now it's not very effective. Yeah? And we're always looking for this in each position, and the more you do it, the more that the range of mobility you have for the optimum conductivity will increase. Yeah? Bagua, obviously based around this because it has very low postures, very big stretches and stuff, but it's trying to find that optimum peak. So if I relax that stretch, I can actually turn almost 180 degrees to the back. And you'll see people doing Bagua that way, all the way to the back. But it's not doing anything. Okay? But if I drop, engage, and then twist, that's actually my optimum. I'm not even at 90 degrees to the side. 90 degrees is too far. If I twist, there's the stretch, there's the steel underneath the cotton. That's when the position is doing something. Does this all make sense? Yeah? Now, the other thing we don't ever like, right, is holding positions for long times. Right? Holding a position like this, really, really good. Holding a stretch for a long time, useless. Right? For learning to sit effectively for meditation, great. Right? Therapeutically, maybe for working out a line of tension that's maybe causing you an injury, great. For development within Neighbourhood martial arts, useless. Because when you get that, what you get is this position then gets built into your system. Okay? Then this position may get built into your system, but the transfer looks like this, which is not very good. Right? You have to have position A to position B, the ability to move within that realm while keeping the stretch within the fascia and looking for the points of movement that engage those sort of soft tissues opening, so my body is conductive all the way through. If I move completely loosely to one side, it's not doing anything. Yeah, it's not changing my system inside, so there's no growth. Other things we don't do is engage any muscles. Yeah? Never lock something before bending, because what a lock does, it has functions for other systems. But if I lock something, you disconnect the line from the feet to the hands, because you've contracted something. So if something contracts, you disconnect. So if I raise this muscle, engage this one, then fold, what I get is a neat hinge, basically. Okay, and I get that little fold in this line, but that neat hinge has disconnected my power through the body. If you don't want power, well, it doesn't matter. But if you're after like internal energetic and physical strength, it does matter. So what I do is I relax everything, I ignore the muscles, get the mind through the whole line I'm trying to stretch, and then fold. What you'll get is a less neat curve. If I engage the muscles, lock everything, and then fold, I might get like a nice neat hinge into this joint. But if I actually engage the right tissues for what we want, and the stretch, actually my body's a little bit more curved. Yeah, so the stretch isn't as neat. I don't get the neat hinge fold inside my body. Actually everything starts to arch, but that arch creates a more even stretch from one end of the body to the other. That's what you want. That's why I'm never worried about neatness of shapes. Yeah? So if you're in a shape, particularly, I don't know, something like this, and people are asking what angle is my hip, what angle is my knee, I don't care, because in order to change that, you have to wiggle around, and you can almost certainly guarantee you'll disconnect the line. Okay? Because if your bones go in a position that's not within that realm of stretch, or you engage a muscle, then you get a breakage. Whereas if I just get my mind into that and then stretch from the toes through to the body within a safe position, then your body will start to conduct, and you won't look as neat as yoga, but you'll get more efficient stretch for what we want within our practice. Okay? Get all that? Yeah? Stretch line through the body, right? At the same time, if you are too flexible, decrease your flexibility. a little bit if you want fudging. Yeah? So if sort of dropping to here is really, really comfortable in like a facet kind of way, don't do it. Come up, okay? Engage all of those elastic lines and then ease until you feel the stretch find a peak. There will be a point where it goes stretch, conduct, stay there. For me it's there. Yeah? If I relax, my body drops into that position, but if I just engage that stretch, that's what I'm trying to build, and that should be the same through every single stretch. Now the argument against that is if bending forward looks like this for you, then you might need to just do it flaccid, just to increase the range of flexibility a little bit. But if it's comfortable to put everything down here and there's no stretch, then you need to engage the tissues a little bit so that it starts to pull, so you're starting to develop all of these springs. In modern times there's a big desire to mix yoga and martial arts, yeah? And there's nothing wrong with practicing both, not at all. I think it's really good. But you must accept you can only ever build your body for one of the two arts. You can't do yoga and build it into your fascia system and do martial arts and build it into your fascia system because they're doing different things. Yeah? So you'll always either do yoga that looks like martial arts or martial arts that looks like yoga, one or the other. It's okay to do the body movements, but you can't condition your body for two different things, yeah, because they're building a very, very different structure. And you can spot a martial artist that actually is doing yoga, and you can spot a yoga person who's actually doing martial arts. They're very, very clear. Yeah? So if you want to go deep into something, you have to choose one of the two. There's nothing wrong with doing the movements from both, but you can't build your body both directions. You go into towns, there's posters and boards, fusion of this and this. Don't fuse them. Don't fuse them, okay? Let's not fuse anything. Let's not have anything added to anything else. Never do it, all right? If anything else, there was a development that took place from one part of the world where the same art travelled and then went here, then evolved, then evolved, then evolved, then evolved. So it changed as it went through to suit the needs of the people that it went through, of the different areas and what they were studying. So fusing them together will not work because the aims are very, very different within your body. Yoga and martial arts do not fuse the two together. Yoga, martial arts and dance do not fuse those together. That just really frustrates me. Don't put those two together, like definitely not, you know. Dancing's great, martial arts great, don't mix them two together, you just create a fucking mess. It looks awful. So a nice easy one, yeah, that most people should be able to do. Separate your feet. Now, in order to engage all of those tissues that I'm trying to get the elastic stretch, first of all let the muscles go soft. Okay? Then what I want you to do is move into it by opening the joints of the hips and the knees and sinking down, trying to create a stretch inside those soft tissues and then very slowly come out of it. So I want you to look for an engaged, controlled stretch deep inside the body. If it feels flaccid, then you need to get your listening ability into the joints to find where that line is and then stretch it as you go down and create that space. And it is just the intention, because when your mind engages with the fascia, it locks on a little bit, and then as I lower my body, then you start to get that sort of controlled tension that takes place underneath the relaxation of the muscles. That's what I want first. Pretty simple, just moving in and out of it. It is opening up, stretching out, pulled elastically. Then what I want you to do is make the small movements within that stretch. So if I keep my body still, like I've got a rod up my butt, and I just turn the pelvis a little, then it's starting to create a stretched movement you're looking for within that shape. What that's doing as I stretch, if after you've done this a while and the fascia starts to connect, then every adjustment you make starts to make further like honeycomb shape adjustments through to the ground. So you're opening different lines of power and connection to the floor. That's when you get that feeling of the body doing that as it changes around. It feels like it's clumping a little, and I don't mean in the joints. I mean like what I call the Sinbad effect, Sinbad sort of animated monster. Everything jerks a little bit like that as it's moving because the fascia is starting to pull and all of those lines are starting to stretch a little bit. So if you think of something held in tension, it's got like a judder, like a vibration through it, that's what you're looking for. Yeah, so you're trying to get that little sort of juddery motion in the body. If you can. Then what I want you to do is straighten the legs. Okay. Now I want you to come into a poo-poo shape. And wherever you can go to comfortably, so if that's your stretch, that's fine, but if that's your stretch, that's fine. I want you to come out of it. So it's not even stretching you. Then relax the muscles. Then get your mind into this concept of like an elastic force through the hips. And then I want you to try to pull open the joints and stretch that line. So it's like pulling a bow as you're moving into that movement. So you're trying to stretch that shape. And then I don't mind how low you go as long as you keep that stretch. And then come out of it. Okay, very slowly. Same, relax the muscles. And then pull that stretch. Pull that stretch through the body. Trying to feel it as I engage through. And it's possible, no matter how flexible you are, you don't have to go to completely soft. Just relax muscles and then lengthen everything. Lengthen everything. Stretching out. Particularly for Tai Chi, while you're doing this, there's a big sort of misbelief that complete relaxation can develop power. It's not true. Tai Chi is not completely relaxed, it's just not contracted. Yeah? Sung means for something to unfurl. So your body inside should feel like it's pulled to a point where it kind of locks into tension, but then the muscles around it relax. That's what you're trying to get. That's the steely of the wire. Like the sort of overly soft, flaccid Tai Chi has nothing in it essentially. And the same with right wow. Always looking to control that stretch through the body. Just a few more, just try to lengthen. Okay. Then if you find that peak, that ability to keep that stretch, then what I want you to do is gently again just turn the pelvis. So it's like I've got a bar through the perineum and I'm just turning the pelvis a little bit side to side. What that does is it starts to pull the joints around the hips and starts to create for me that inside, because the fascia, that juddering is starting to change. It's trying to open up a new line of connection inside the body. Yeah? That's what we need to look for. This is why we do it very, very slowly, moving from side to side in Pubu, because if you've managed to get the stretch effectively, then as I transfer my body slowly to the other side, it's pulling that line and creating different seats and slings inside the body to create power in the legs. When that happens, all of the force comes off of your knees and your ankles, because everything instead gets supported into the fascia lines inside the hips. Yeah. Okay. Then to the other side. So same again. Come out of Pubu. And what I want you to do is gently relax the muscles. Okay, just get your mind into the legs. Mindfulness, tissue connection with listening, and then gently just lower the body down. Don't mind if you're upright or you're leaning forward. Okay, and just want you to look for stretch inside the hips, inside the joints. Stretching, opening everything up. Try and find that feeling. Pull this bow, feel you're drawing back a bow as you move into the shape. Just a couple more. Again, I don't mind if you're upright or if you're leant forward, really don't mind, just look for that elastic feeling. And then whenever you find that stretch, again, just gently turn the hips a little. Just turning the pelvis and increase that stretch inside the hips. Hands on the floor or hands up or hands on the knees, I don't mind again. It's not yoga, so we don't have to be really, really neat. It's not our study, the forms are where we study the kind of neatness rather than the stretching. That's it. Then, try and find that optimum stretch, whatever height, doesn't matter, and then start to move slowly across to the other side if you can. So you're just trying to pull and stay within that stretch as I change from side to side. So it's not just sort of dropped into it. Yeah? So then your flexibility doesn't matter. Well, over flexibility doesn't matter. Under flexibility, you need to get past that hurdle. And then trying to gauge that stretch as you move. So the body's opening the joints. Elastic bands. Good. Couple more. That stretch. Don't be too soft, remember. Always try and draw a bow, because you want your body to get stronger inside the joints, not just looser. that's where you are, no problem. Stay with that, because remember, all we're trying to do is build our own power, so you have your limits. Whatever your limit is, stay there. But if this is comfortable, now we have this rotation up. And what I do is I turn the pelvis and trying to stretch more that elastic line inside the hip, and then I'm rotating down into that sling. So what I'm not doing is flinging my body up and flinging my body down, because I'm pretty flexible really, pretty loose, so if I want to I can just turn, but not doing anything. Instead I come up, stretching this elastic band from the feet through into the hip, and then turning and sitting into that elastic band so there's a stretch into that fascia line as I go down. The exact size doesn't matter, because I can do the same here. Stretch, sit. Even with a smaller version, it's still stretching me, so I'm still engaging all of those lines. The fascia system is a honeycomb network, so even here you can stretch. Yeah? Even here you can stretch, because if the mind goes in there, then that honeycomb will support your movements, whatever you're doing. If that engages more and more, then what happens is the mind conducts in, then you get more control over the joints. So beginners can control it, well, sometimes they can't, but often they can control their arms as much as they want, but their legs, they don't seem to have any mental control over them. What you actually require is the same level of control of the feet as you have with the hands, yeah, so that they become as active. But it's just getting the mind to conduct into the legs. And then these slow stretching movements become really, really easy, because the fascia supports you while you sit down into it, yeah? So again, twist, hip up, and then turning, stretching the fascia down. This is breaking my rule of not talking before 11. So turning, stretching the hip, sitting into the fascia a little, and then trying to create these slings in the legs, so we're building power. Stretch, down. Stretch, down. Good. Stretch, down. On the other side, we'll just do a few. Stretch the hip joint. Again, look at that feeling of pulling an elastic band, whatever you need to do that pull. And then turning and sitting into the sling so it stretches under your body mass as your hip turns up to the front. And up, stretch. And then turning, down. If it feels flaccid, like you're just dropping into your joints, then you've got a disconnect between your mind and your soft tissues. Okay? Get them into the body, and then up. The more the mind goes into the tissues, then everything can be a controlled stretch. Turning, down. Up. Into that stretch. One more. Stop. So, just taking another simple shape, placing the hands here, stretching up the body a little bit. So this forward lean, okay? So relax muscles, right? Engage connective tissues, just like you would in Tai Chi or Bagua, and then slowly stretching in, try and lengthen that line. Now there, already, for me, that's starting to stretch. But that's not to say I can't put my body a lot further, but that's already starting to engage. And then when I go forward, now it's like pulling a bow, pulling a bow, pulling a bow. That is about the optimum, okay, for me, of where the stretch is at its most conductive. But that's because I'm not doing this. Lock up, perfect, well I can't, I'm not used to doing it, like a perfect fold into this hip joint. Instead what I do is I have the body upright and fold, but not worry about perfection of hinges. Just adjusting, looking for that elastic band, looking for the optimum stretch, and then pulling my body into it. Anything beyond here will increase the stretch, but anything too far beyond here can't work those elastic lines. All it will do is work the skeletal system and tension around your joints. Let's try to find it. And start, when you find that optimum stretch, make little movements. I don't really mind what they are. For me, I tend to move my ribs a little bit. so that you're not creating a static shape in the body, because you won't have any ability to transfer Jin in a circular fashion unless you move within that stretch. And then come out of it, do it a few times, stretch, relax the body a little bit, and then pull it. Look to stretch that bow. Again, make little movements when you're at the peak, where it's most conductive. Then lengthen it a little bit. Try to see how far you can pull that bow before it starts to disconnect and become flaccid. Just pull. Try and lengthen that line, always listening to the body. Try to create more of an elastic band inside the body. Okay, good. So if this is the peak of my stretch, that's where the fudging comes out. Yeah. So if I make myself too flexible, like disconnect all of those lines and make myself flaccid, you'll never be able to issue any power, because if you can just open with no stretch, then there's nowhere for that power to conduct through. So essentially nothing can get through the floor, through to the hand. So if you're like a contortionist, you'll never have any power in the martial arts. You need to decrease your flexibility a little bit so that you can increase the stretch within that range of motion, and then only increase that flexibility if you can connect into that elastic band. That's what you require to issue the Jin. If you can't issue Jin, then you're not building power. So then even the health sides of the martial arts aren't there, because you're not building the stretch, the conductivity, the elastic lines through the floor, so your body's not getting stronger. What it's actually doing is getting weaker. Okay, it's because it's getting weaker and weaker, more disconnected all the way throughout the body. Yeah? So if you're hyper as well, it also then shows with your resilience going up how little you can be affected by other people if you wish to as well. Because most people are too mentally weak to the effects of other people around them. I mean, most people, as soon as they interact, something starts to disturb their centre, if you like, their sort of position, and that needs to stop. So that's why I sort of say the ability sometimes to say fuck you, whether in your head or to someone's face occasionally, is actually quite a good thing in an appropriate situation, rather than allowing somebody just to trample on you. But the sort of basis behind that has to be built in an internal power that has to come from inside, and essentially Jin is a way of demonstrating how that force is building inside your consciousness and inside your energy.